Hello laser dudes, Woodwork by Alan here. This is Alan. Just wanted to run through a quick video. I was just double checking my steps per rotation for my tumbler and just wanted to walk through a little something I'm sure is probably common knowledge for some people, but I found a way to double check to make sure that you got your right steps per rotation. So I've got a good sized tumbler in here and I set it up in Lightburn. And I put the 100mm square on there. You see that line? You can barely see it, but that line right there. So from one side to the other, I got a straight line on either side. That is 100mm. And I actually, well, first I drew it in Lightburn, and then I put the tape on a flat board, and I actually ran it so that I could get the ends. It pretty much ran the rectangle, but the ends were the only thing that really showed up in the painter's tape. So I made a straight line connecting one line to the other, basically up and down. And my T1 layer here is the same size as my tumbler. Very important that you measure the circumference of your tumbler with the tape on it. So I put painter's tape on mine, and it did add a little bit. So my tumbler ended up being 11 and I think it was 7/16. So I've got that set as my tumbler. So you got the 11.4375. And then when you go into my rotary settings, that is my circumference, 11.4375. So I've got that in there twice. So I went through and I basically did the framing. So this one here, this will only run the framing for your engraving area. So that'll be the 100mm. So when I run that basically just runs around the framing line that I set, so the 100mm line. So I'm basically just looking for it to hit this line on both sides. Okay, so when it goes around, it hits the other side and then it hits that one. Now to double check to make sure you got it right after you're done. So as long as make sure you've got your measurements in right. So the height of this box needs to be your circumference, including the painter's tape. So measure around the painter's tape. And I actually have 2 layers of painter's tape with a piece of aluminum foil in the middle. When I burnt it, I wanted to make sure that it, went through and I didn't end up with holes in the tape. So I put some foil in the middle, and that seemed to work for me. So once you get done getting your steps per rotation set, mine ended up being 14,980. So once you get that done, if you hit this other framing, you've got your T1 layer. That's the red line here. So you've got that set up as your T1 layer. And when you go in and you hit this frame right here, this is going to frame your T1 layer. So it's going to go all the way around the circumference of your tumbler. And as long as you have it set right, and by the way, so this green, my framing box for the engraved area, the 100mm engraving area, I put that on the bottom, and I've got it set to the bottom of the box. And then in my laser setup, I've got the origin set to the lower right. So you take this box and you align it with the bottom of your framing square. So it's sitting on the bottom, and then your start point, your origin, is going to be right here. So when it goes in frames, it's going to look at that. It's going to go up 100mm. And it's go down 100mm, so you know that you're in the right spot. Now when it does the other framing, when it does this frame, it's going to start at this point and it's going to spin all the way around until this comes back again. So as long as you hit this line twice, you're golden. So let's go ahead and run that. So again, I'm going to do this framing. It's going to frame the T1 red box, and let's go ahead and see what happens. So first it goes around and it spins all the way back to the origin, start point, and then you're going to see there's my line. So it hits that line once, and then basically it's going to go all the way around, and then it's going to hit it again. Hard to see with the glare, but if it hits it again, like it did, you're golden. So that is the circumference. So my steps per rotation are spot on. All right, so make sure when you do the 100mm test, you also check and make sure that it does spin all the way around the circumference of your tumbler. And again, Very important to make sure when you set up your T1 layer, your framing layer, that this height here is spot on for your tumbler. If I had put 11 3/8 in there instead of 11 7/16, it would make a huge difference. So you have to be spot on with that measurement, right? Hope this helps some of you guys, and if you're getting value from my videos, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until the next video, laser on, dudes.